Hey there. Today I wanted to touch on a few topics that some viewers posed to me via Facebook. The first topic that I wanted to discuss was college athletes being paid for their likeness. If you missed it, a few weeks ago, the NCAA ruled that college student athletes will be able to be paid for their likeness in video games and commercials and different stuff like that. And somebody asked me what I thought about that, and what I came up with is this is something that has been in the works for quite a while, and they're now just taking the steps to finally get this deal done. I compare this to the designated hitter eventually becoming a thing in the National League. It's not like that now, but it's something that has been discussed so much that you felt eventually it was going to happen. It was something that it's only a matter of when, not if. I am not as excited as everybody else in the NBA and collegiate world seems to be. I maintain that if you're an athlete in high school or college or whatever level, you're a student athlete. That's where the student is supposed to come first. You're supposed to worry about going, completing high school, going to college, graduating from college, and sports is supposed to be an afterthought. You hear the statistics from when you're young that only 1% of anybody who goes and tries to become a professional baseball player or basketball player, they have a 1% chance of actually making it to the professional level and making a lot of money out of it. Everybody else, they can do those things, they can play those sports and enjoy them, but they have to have school as their backup plan. You're going to school to try to get a better education. In my mind, when you start to discuss a paycheck for something that should be an extracurricular activity in its truest form, those two shouldn't be paired. Right now, they're allowed to be paid for their likeness in video games, like I stated before. They can also sign different endorsement deals through energy drinks, Gatorade, what have you, as well as shoe deals. They can have shoe contracts in college to wear a brand, Nike shoes or Adidas' shoes on the court. They're going to get a stipend check for that. Before the NCAA made a ruling that college students could make money for their likeness and what have you, the big argument was that the college athletes are making a lot of money for the school through their ticket sales, merchandising, and things of that nature, and why isn't some of this money going to the players? Well, besides what I've stated before, that you're a student athlete and you shouldn't have to worry about trying to make money while you're in college for playing a sport, the reason for why not is because the money is, I don't know this as a fact, but I'd hope that the money is going to school expenses, teacher salaries and scholarships and different things of that magnitude. Something that it's more important than just this one player getting paid because he can play this sport a little bit better than other people. To reiterate, I do not agree with the NCAA's decision to allow collegiate level athletes to be paid for playing a game while they're in school. It puts too much focus on the sport and the ways to make money through that sport, and much less on the reason they're in college is to receive a better education. That's my viewpoint on it. I could be wrong. Some of you probably don't agree with it, but that's how I see it. The second topic that I wanted to touch on was how the NBA is officiating the traveling call in NBA games. Now, I pulled up the rule book and have here what the rules mandate a traveling call would be. So it says, a player who receives the ball while he is progressing or upon completion of a dribble may take 2 steps in coming to a stop, passing, or shooting the ball. Anything more than that, you're going to be called for traveling. Seems pretty clean-cut, straightforward. There should not be an issue with this rule. If you see somebody take a 3rd step, that's a traveling violation. Blow the whistle. The reason that doesn't happen as often as we see it sitting on our couch watching TV or wherever you watch your game, it's simply because it's either missed by the referees or because the person who committed the offense has superstar status and they more times than not would not be called for a travel even when they take that additional 3.5 steps, whatever it deems to be. Another reason I believe that these refs are missing these calls is because of the inception of the Euro step that has been taking over the NBA over this last decade or so. The process of the Euro step is to take a step while the ball that you were dribbling is coming up to your hands. Then you maintain control of the ball in your hands, and you take those 2 additional steps, which the league allows, and then you do what you will with it. You could pass, shoot, whatever. In its early inception in the league, it looks like a clear traveling violation. It looks like as the ball's coming up from the floor, you see 1 step, you see 2 more, that's 3 steps, and it's a travel. But now that it's been a part of the game for so long, referees are looking for it. They're looking for the Euro step. So they know that, all right, well, the ball's coming up, you take that 1 step, you take his 2 additional steps you get in the NBA, and it's not called as a travel. Now, because of this, the referees are so acclimated to seeing this maneuver that they're missing some of the clear travels because they think it's a Euro step. They'll see 3 steps and maybe they didn't catch how it started, so maybe they thought, oh, that was just a Euro step. I can't call traveling on this unless it is something truly blatant that they were watching from the very beginning of the play. And I say this after watching the previous Chicago Bulls game where there were 3 traveling violations called on the Bulls, and they were pretty blatant. So they're still calling that violation, but it's much less frequent because of the NBA players' superstar status combined with the Euro step. Now, the last topic that I wanted to talk about, or that I was asked about, was reasoning behind there are 2 separate conferences in each of the 4 major sports that I follow, which is basketball, baseball, football, and hockey. I'm going to try to explain this as best I can. The reasoning for this is, frankly, there are too many teams in these leagues to have them all under one conference and have them all battling for a playoff spot. So imagine having a finite amount of playoff spots, and the only way to guarantee a spot is for your team to have a better overall record over the entire league. Now that's everybody's going to say, well, no doubt, Kevin, that's how that goes. Sorry, something in my eye. That's how that goes. The better record gets to make it. It's true, but you also have to look into it when it's split up between the conferences and even more split up into the divisions. But I'm not going to get into different divisions. I'm just going to keep it to conferences right now. So now with the division of the teams in 2 different conferences, you can have teams with have a better shot of making the playoffs in a smaller talent pool. Now, I've mocked something up to kind of help explain it a little bit better. So let's just say for fun, I hope this is in the screen. I think I can make it work. Let's just say for fun, in the NBA, if it was all under one conference, the top 10 teams can make the playoffs. So these are your 10 teams that are all set to make the playoffs, the top best ranked 10 teams. And then you have the Bulls here, which is team number 11, which is 1 spot out of the playoffs. So now instead of having all of the teams under one arc, they separate it with conferences. So you have an Eastern Conference, which I didn't write down, and then the Western Conference. So then you have to split up the teams, and you could see, all right, well, the Celtics and the Bucks, they're part of the Eastern Conference, so I'll keep them here. But the Lakers are in the Western Conference. The Nuggets are in the Western Conference. The Trailblazers, the Jazz, the Rockets, the Wizards are Eastern Conference. The Spurs are in the West, and the Pacers are in the Eastern Conference, as well as the Bulls. Now, instead of having one arc and the top 10 teams make it, you have 2 conferences, and the top 5 of each conference makes the playoffs. So instead of having everything together and the Bulls on the outside looking in, now with split conferences, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the Bulls are that 5th team. It's a bad 5. The Bulls are that 5th team in the Eastern Conference and are now in a playoff spot. Now, the Spurs are the outside looking in as the number 6 spot in the Western Conference. And you could look at it, well, the Spurs have a better record than the Bulls, but that's why the conferences are split up. They do it that way to have a better chance for teams that might not be good enough to make it if it was all just based on your overall record. But now that they're in separate leagues, it makes it easier for those teams to make the playoffs. It's just a little bit more fair. And if history in sports has shown us anything, it's that all you need to do is make the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs, anything can happen. That's all I have for today. I hope I explained everything well enough for you to understand on my stances of some of these topics. If you have any questions or comments about anything sports related, please feel free to comment either on my Facebook posts, on this video in the comments section, or just message me on Facebook individually, and I will answer your questions and comments in future videos. Until next time, I'm Kevin Householder.